So hi, let us learn how to build this accordion in React. If we click on any one of the tiles here, let's say tile number 2, its content is visible now. If we click on tile number 3, the content of tile number 2 is not visible, but the content of tile 3 is now visible. If we click on tile number 3 again, its content is not visible again. So if we do that with any other tiles, this is the result we are getting. If we click on the same tile again, the accordion is getting closed. So let us see how to make this in React. So we have an empty React project with us. As you can see, it's our app component. It has nothing but this div only. Index.css file is empty, and we are only rendering this app component here. So let's start by making some components. First, let's create an accordion component, accordion.jsx. Let's write some basic code. So export default function accordion, and it returns for now just a simple text that says accordion. Let's save it and let's see if it is working or not. Accordion. And as you can see, it's working fine. So what do we need to do here? Let's make some divs that for each tiles. This is the main component. Let's give this an ID parent. And these are child components. So child. So each child will have an a title. Let's say tile 1 and some description. So tile 1 description. Let's write some random text or 10. That would be fine. Now let's duplicate this and make a couple of children. So this will be our tile second. This will be our third tile and fourth tile. Similarly, let's change the description so that we can differentiate a little bit. Now let's see if it's working. So yeah, it's working fine. Now let's add some style. So let's create a CSS file called accordion.css. Let's import this CSS file here /accordion.css. First thing first, let's add some CSS in our index.css file. So margin will be 0, padding will be 0, box sizing will be border box. And in the accordion.css file, this is our parent div. So let's style it parent. Let's make this flex direction column. And let's give it a gap of 1 rem. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, it's looking fine, I guess. And in the children components, each child will have a background color. Let's say light blue. Let's see how it looks. Let's give some padding of 1 rem. Yeah, it's looking fine. In the parent, let's also provide some padding of 1 rem. So yeah, it's looking fine now. Let's also make this a flex direction column, and let's provide a gap of 1 rem. So yeah, it's looking fine. Again, we are not focusing that much on styling. So we have our accordion component with us. Now let's see how to make accordion. So we need to select this parent div. So for that, we need to use a hook called useRef. So we can say const parent ref equals to useRef, and we can provide the reference here. Let's say parent ref. So now we have reference of this div stored in this variable parent ref. So let's log it and see how it looks. Parent ref. We can see we have this object. So let's log the children of, let's log the current value. All the references of useref has this current value with them. So we can use dot operator to see the exact div. Now let's see how it looks. So yes, this is, so we have gotten the parent reference with us. Now let's log the children. You can see we have an array of HTML objects. Let's print the first child. So we have the reference to the first child as well. So this is how the hierarchy looks, and we can refer to each of the tiles separately using this. So let's create a state called active, const active, set active, use state. The idea is in Accordion, only that tile's content will be visible, which is active. So if tile 1 is active, then the content of tile 1 is visible only, and the rest tiles contents are not visible. If tile 2 is active, then only tile two's content is visible, and so on. So we are maintaining this state here called active. So now I have provided IDs to each of the description of every child. So the first child description has an ID of 1. Similarly, second child's description has an ID of 2, and so on. So now let us use a hook called useEffect. It accepts a callback function as the first argument and a list of dependencies as the second argument. We can provide this active state in this dependency list. So every time this changes, the state changes, this useEffect hook reruns this callback function. So in this callback function, let us first have the reference of all our children components. So for that, we'll use this parent ref object. So const, let's just call children. This will be an array of all these child components. So parent ref dot current. So parent ref dot current is referring to this div, the parent div, and to refer all the direct children of this div, we can use dot children. Now let us just log this and see how it looks. So we have a list of 4 items, 4 HTML objects. Now let us convert this children into a plain simple JavaScript array. For that, we'll use uh, the array class. It has a static method called from. This will convert it to the JavaScript array. And let's just log it and see how it looks. So yeah, we have an array. So we have array dot from children, and to loop through each of the child components, we can use the for each method. It accepts a callback function. Let us call each child child, and let's just log this child, log child. We can see we have 4 divs. So now we have the reference to all our children. So uh, each child has their children as the heading of the child and the description of the child. So let us log the child children. So log child dot children. we can see each child has two children. So we can store the description. So const, let's just call it child description equal to child dot children. It is an array of two elements, and the second element is the description. So index one. So let's log this and see how it looks. So we have our four descriptions with us. So now the idea is if the child's ID is equal to the active state here, only that child's description will be visible. Rest other children's description will not be visible. So for that, we can say if child dot ID is equal to active, then let's make child description hidden false because we want to show only that child which is currently active. Else we can say the description is hidden. So hidden is true. So let's see how it looks. I'm sorry, the IDs we need to provide is to the child component itself, not the description, because we are calling child.id, not child description.id. So now let's run and see how it looks. So yeah, it's working fine. The current active state is 2, so only second tile's content is visible. If we change it to 1, then the first tile's content is visible, and so on. So now we are very close to the completion of project. Only thing we need to do is to add the click functionality so that if we click on the second tile, the first tile content is no longer visible. The second tile content is visible. So for that, we need to add on click methods to each of the child components. So before that, let me just clear this code. This looks a bit bulky. So let me make another component. Let's say accordion tile.jsx. So this is export default function accordion tile. This returns for now just return hello. Now let's import this component here. So import accordion tile and let's just use this accordion tile and let's pass all the IDs, the title and description as props. So ID will be let's say one, title will be let's say this one, tile one, and description will be let's say this. So now let's just duplicate it three times more and let's just delete all of this so that we can have a little bit cleaner code. So let's just change the property. So ID is 2, ID is 3, 4. Similarly for title and for description as well. So accordion tile is accepting data as props. So let us destructure the props here. So we have sent ID, title, and description. Description here. So this will be a div. It has an h1. It is the title and the paragraph, the description, and it has an ID of ID. So we need to style this. So let's style it. New file accordion tile.css. Let's import the CSS file here. Import dot slash accordion tile.css. So let's make this a class called accordion tile and dot accordion tile. Let's just copy the CSS that we have created here. So display will be uh, this is the CSS, right? Yeah. And here let's delete this. And in the accordion component, let's name this as accordion class name. Accordion, here it is. So now let's see how it looks. So yeah, it's fine. It's working. So let's change the active state to 2. So the second tile content is working, is visible, sorry. So now we need to pass this active state as a prop as well. So active is, let's say active, and set active is, let's say set active. So we need to copy this and pass it to every other children we have. So in the accordion tile component, we have two more props called active and set active. So now we need to add this method on click. When this component is clicked, this method gets triggered. So let's make a method called handle click. So it will be an arrow function called handle click. So what this does is it makes the current active state as ID. So if we click on the first tile, the uh, active state has now changed to first. If we click on the second tile, the current active state is 2, and so on. So now let's see if it works or not. Yeah, so we click tile 1. So it's currently active. So the description of tile 1 is visible only. If we click on tile 2 is active. So the content of tile 2 is only visible, not the other tiles. And for every other tile, it's the same. So if we click on the tile 1 again, it's not collapsing back. Why? Because we are not changing the state. So we need to check here if active is ID, just change the set active to nothing else. Do this. Now let's see if it works. If we click on tile 1 again, yeah, it's getting collapsed. We click again, tile 2, tile 3, tile 4. So our project is working fine. So yes, that is pretty much it. This is how you build an accordion in React. Thank you for watching.